it's Maxell from Cabal. Do you like reading? According to the National Institute of Health, reading before bed, at the very least, improves the quality of sleep. Plus, it tends to promote deeper sleep phases. I personally read at least 1 hour before bed. The last one I've just finished now is The Last Secret by Bernard Werber. It starts with a famous chess player defeating the supercomputer Deep Blue, which of course is a reference to the supercomputer Deep Blue, which was able to defeat the world chess champion Garry Kasparov. It happened in 1997. The computer was able to beat the best player in the world. No wonder you will say, that computer could process 200 million positions per second, but what you definitely didn't know. During the match, the supercomputer experienced a glitch, and it made a completely illogical move that simply meant nothing at all. There are theories that Garry Kasparov ceased to comprehend its logic. He thought it wasn't an error at all, but rather the computer was calculating its moves so far ahead that it was difficult to understand. And in the end, Garry Kasparov lost. What a meaningless move. What does it all mean? With his rating, he surely knows more than I do. I better surrender. But what is he thinking? So that book makes me wonder, is the human still smarter than the computer? Or have we already lost the battle? And where does it all lead to? After the defeat, Garry Kasparov accused the computer and those who programmed it of cheating, but over time, he came to the conclusion that after all, the computer Deep Blue didn't cheat, although it had suspicions that real pro chess players might have helped it. For example, that supercomputer could spend 14 minutes thinking about a single move, plus it was located in another room and wasn't visible. But that doesn't matter in the slightest, because after that, Garry Kasparov couldn't beat even other, weaker computers, not a single time. Even though they were clearly much weaker than Deep Blue. And he said one very landmark phrase: in a few years, the human will no longer have a chance in confrontation with the computer. And this is what's happening. I would only add, we're all done for. That's a point of no return. Humanity will no longer be able to defeat the computer in chess. Probably not the most serious phrase one could say, but I'm trying to think like a supercomputer, many steps ahead. First chess, then what? Checkers, and then your microwave itself will be deciding for you whether to eat today or not. Nah, you think what you want, but I think that's the first alarm bell. Cause my 9-year-old microwave already decided in itself when I'm gonna eat. Now let's get deeper. Computers in this field have truly become much stronger, as evidenced by the ELO rating. It's a method of calculating the relative skill or strength of players in 2 or more player games, created by a chess master and an American physics professor at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Arpad ELO. So the strongest chess player at the moment has a rating of 2,839. His name is Sven Magnus N. Carlsen. I know he's not a character from one popular computer game. Meanwhile, the chess program Stockfish, one of the best modern chess engines, orders of magnitude stronger than Deep Blue, has a rating of 3,548. Computers have already their own tournaments to start with, where they fight for the title of the best chess player in the world, and for humans, unfortunately, there is nothing to do. In 2017, for example, the Google-developed chess engine AlphaZero defeated this Stockfish. And now I'm gonna explain to you why for humans, that's a very important event, while for computers, it didn't change things at all. 4 hours before the match, AlphaZero had been completely reset, and from scratch, knowing only the game rules, it had been analyzing large databases of games, estimating the quality of different moves, and playing matches against itself. Only 4 hours and it defeated the best player in the world, Stockfish. Just so you understand, the highest rank in chess is a Grandmaster. You need to have more than 2,500 ELO. There are only 1,500 human Grandmasters. Usually to become one, it takes 10 to 15 years if a person is dedicated and talented. While to become the best human player in the world, it takes a human life. So that computer is so smart, for that it needed 5 minutes. Alright, maybe 6. To skip thousands of years of learning that humans been doing.
Anyway, queen takes pawn. Okay.
Bishop takes knight's pawn.
All A lovely move. Rook to king 1.
I'm sorry, Frank. I think you missed it. Queen to bishop 3. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes bishop. Mate.
Yeah, looks like you're right. I resign.
Thank you for a very enjoyable game.
With each passing day, computers become smarter and smarter. Now, for example, Stockfish has gotten extraordinarily stronger and once again gotten the title of the best chess player back. And in general, it crushes other unbelievably strong computers in any game format. Only that doesn't matter because the best human player, Magnus Carlsen, won't even play his computer. The most he can do is ask for advice and learn from them. But he won't play it, because he just loses all the time, and there is nothing more depressing for the world champion than losing every time without even being in the game. So when you watch the World Chess Championship, an enormous high-end event where the best players in the world come to, the new reality is they're not the best players in the world. A $100 computer can easily dispose of them all. So to compensate it, computers now have their own World Chess Championships. But once again, only that doesn't matter even in the slightest, because these tournaments will soon end as well. I'll explain. Let's turn back a little. In 1950, American mathematician Claude Shannon estimated the number of games in chess to be 10 to the power of 120, and that's a very large number, which a human brain isn't even capable of imagining. It's much bigger than the number of atoms in the universe. Although this number is very simplified, he based his calculations that the average game is about 40 turns, they didn't include that players may miss opportunities, retreat, don't exchange, and etc. The actual number has to be much larger. But even so, if the entire population of the globe play chess around the clock, making one move every second, then, in order to exhaust all possible chess games, such continual universal gameplay would have to last at least 10 to the power of 100 centuries. Checkmate, Adams! Only that doesn't matter. I've been saying the whole day today, only that doesn't matter. Only that doesn't matter because computers will soon become so intelligent they will be able to calculate all of them and always simply provide the strongest move possible. There just won't be a point in tournaments for computers, whereas humanity won't be able to checkmate the computer, even theoretically. An example isn't far to seek. In fact, you don't need to seek at all. Just make 2 clicks and play a game of checkers against the computer. Even if you play like one, never blunder or get carried away by emotions, the most you can provide is a draw. You can't win there, even mathematically, as there are fewer variations there and the computer simply calculates all the possible and always makes the best one. Or take the artificial intelligence Librates, who has beaten the world's absolute best human poker players by about $1.77 million in poker chips. Same story with backgammon, Go, and even TV quiz shows. In the latter case though, this clash of minds happened only once. But let's pretend that these are just games. Let's get deeper. Every day we absorb an enormous amount of information, both necessary and unnecessary. It mixes up and it's all up here anyway. Do you often have a situation when you ask and you say, yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue, yeah, nah, I can't remember. And after a while you recall and say, heck, how could I even forget that? But this won't happen to a computer. It can in any moment, in an instant, retrieve any information that is in its memory or on a network. Take the supercomputer Watson, based on artificial intelligence technology.
Hello, my name is Watson.
Whose main task is to understand questions asked in natural language. For example, "Sup, Watson, you all with some money to hang out in a club?" That is, we don't need to talk to it like this. "Greetings, Watson. Do you have any sufficient funds available to accompany me to nocturnal social establishment?" The ability to analyze and comprehend human speech enabled his computer to triumph in an American television quiz show, Jeopardy, in 2011, having won $1 million, not just to defeat some people, but champions.
The parents of this 52nd governor of New York immigrated to the United States from Salerno, Italy. Watson?
Who is Mario Cuomo?
Correct.
Let's finish MC5.
You're a goddamn genius! That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard.
But what is this supercomputer doing now? What the human find difficulty doing? It makes a diagnosis. Try to imagine how much is stored in its database. The full archive of Wikipedia with its 6.5 million articles in English is just a tiny part. More than 200 million pages of text. Just envision this scale. And all this information will be available to you if you just ask the computer in plain language. I've written all this information. The computer took this information. It's incredibly smart! The human created the computer that beat them at chess. So who's smarter after all? The only problem is that the human created the computer that's self-learning. Deep machine learning, part of which are neural networks, helps IBM's Watson understand natural speech. This method in artificial intelligence incorporates self-learning capabilities. That is, a person doesn't even need to enter a new word and its meaning every time. With its vast amount of loaded data, the computer itself will be able to understand that sup means what's up, you're rolling with means do you have, and money to hang out in a club is just youth slang. There's no need to go to the club and hang it out. Neural networks get such a name because they operate much like the human brain with its neurons. The neural network consists of nodes, so-called artificial neurons, each containing a certain formula. The node receives information, performs computations, and sends the result further to the nodes at the next layer along the synapses. These are the pathways through which data is transmitted from one node to another. Roughly speaking, it can be imagined as a sort of black box that has an input and an output. What happens inside is unknown, or rather its contents will tell little about what's happening in it. The box is fed input data and told many times that with such and such input data you should get such and such output data. The neural network is designed in such a way that it will strive to adjust the weights of synapses in order to produce accurate results. The big mystery behind neural networks is why they work so well, says a physicist at Harvard University, Henry Lin. For instance, Google's DeepMind wasn't explicitly taught Go strategies and wasn't trained to recognize classic sequences of moves. Instead, it simply watched millions of games and played many more against itself and other players. Like newborn babies, these deep learning algorithms start out completely clueless, but having learned on its own, based on machine learning, they outsmarted the best players in the world and became world champions. This is, for example, how neural network learned to play Breakout. It didn't know absolutely anything. The only pieces of information about the game it received were the pixels on the screen and the game score. In turn, as the output data, it was asked to achieve a maximum score. Or another, car game. The system learns to play by essentially pressing keys randomly in order to achieve a high score, says Volodymyr Mne, a research scientist at Google DeepMind. Its power grows with more repetition. Now that the neural network has mastered these kind of games, it's gone on to more complex 3D games. Ultimately, when this algorithm can race a car in racing games, it should be able to drive a real car and do it better than the human. And that's how we got autonomous self-driving vehicles. Or for example, a chatbot character AI that will start a conversation with you and mimic any celebrity, historical person, or even a fictional character that never existed. It'll use their style of speaking, catchphrases, jokes, and etc. At first it seems amusing and exciting, but then it starts to feel unsettling. Or a large number of art bots, which can from scratch make a work of art from your description. Draw a picture in any style, form a breathtaking photo that's not even real, or even generate a human that never existed. Or take the art restoration. Few know that the Rembrandt's famous painting, The Night Watch, created in 1642, lost to two doors and was trimmed in 1715 to fit between them at Amsterdam's City Hall. Don't even ask me. 2 feet from the left, 0.7 from the top, 5 inches from the bottom, and 3 from the right have been missing. The neural network was given only 2 images, a scan of the original and a painted copy made before the trimming by the Dutch painter Gerrit Londens. And it's restored the full painting with the full details and right colors for the first time in 300 years. but this one surpasses even the above mentioned. Various chatbots like ChatGPT, Microsoft's Bing, or Google's Bard, powered by neural networks, will tackle any task you give them. You write an essay, which always comes out absolutely unique, and pass any plagiarism checker easily. In fact, it's T9 on steroids. But the neural network has learned so well to predict each successive word that many educational institutions have started developing an AI checker. My university too! I hope they won't succeed. On the other hand, we can ask it to do one's homework in a way that it passes the AI checker. As we now know, it can very quickly learn to do it. But they also know about it. So once again, we have come to the question of who's smarter, the human or the computer. Now it's doing your homework for you, then it will get your diploma, your job. And then once you will turn on your computer, well, or the computer will turn you on. And here, instead of me, a bot will be talking. What's there to say? These lines have already been written by the neural network. This one too. And this one too. Generally speaking, you'll already come across such technologies constantly. They're used to create services capable of recognizing speech, photos, videos, and so on. Apps for determining your age, facial recognition in photos, Instagram's face filters. But there is another very useful aspect. Neural networks aid in discovering new drugs for various common and rare diseases. For example, for companies like Pfizer or AstraZeneca. Microsoft's Inner Eye helps doctors interpret computer tomography scans by creating a three-dimensional model of organs. This significantly speeds up the work of specialists and the detection of cancer-affected areas. And Watson processes all the patient's information and presents several treatment options. And in more than 90% of cases, these options turn out to be correct, which significantly surpasses the indications of human doctors. Unfortunately, not all types of cancer are yet available in the system for treatment, and it's not used everywhere, but this surely might be the future. Well, it all boils down to the fact that the computer can simply put a lot more information into itself than the person into their brain. But that's not quite so. In 1887, Arthur Conan Doyle wrote the novel A Study in Scarlet, in which the character Sherlock Holmes first appeared and touched on this point. You see, I consider that the man's brain is originally like a little empty attic you have to stock with such furniture as you choose. A fool takes in all the lumber of every sort that he comes across, so that the knowledge which might be useful to him gets crowded out, or at best is jumbled up with a lot of other things, so he has a difficulty in laying his hands upon it. Now the skillful workman is indeed very careful as to what he takes into his brain attic. He will have nothing but the tools which may help him in doing his work. But of these he has a very large assortment, and all in the most perfect order. It is a mistake to think that that little room has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. Depend upon it, there comes a time when for every addition of knowledge, you forget something that you knew before. It is of highest importance, therefore, not to have useless facts elbowing out the useful ones. As it later came to light, he was completely out of the loop about anything that wasn't related to his job. He didn't even know that the Earth revolves around the Sun. What a coincidence! But we know that this is not a coincidence. On top of that, the Earth is supported by 4 elephants standing on the back of a turtle. Scientist Michael Ramscar from the University of Tübingen in Germany believes that the brains of elderly people do not function worse as those of younger ones. It's just that their brains contain so much diverse information that retrieving it becomes quite challenging. This, roughly speaking, can be likened to the hard drive, because when it's crammed to the gills with all sorts of information, it takes much more time to find it. Though the brain is much more complex than the hard drive, and exact limits of filling the brain's memory aren't known yet. But a function of clearing all sorts of crap definitely wouldn't hurt us. It's been Max Zell from Cabal. Bye everyone.
I'm gonna tell you why the Earth is flat. First, gravity is not a thing. Second of all, the Illuminati is like kind of trying to make us believe that the Earth is round.
Get into the places where you used to be in your childhood you haven't remembered for decades. The classroom in the school where you studied. Returning there after 30 years, you can ascertain that a huge number of things is stored in your brain. That is, these are millions, if not billions or trillions of neural connections. All this suggests the idea that theoretically, the human can know more than the most powerful computer. Only what's the point of that if at the right moment you simply cannot retrieve the necessary information?
Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?
Indeed, what can a human be better than the machine at? In the fact that we perform tasks not only on intelligence, but also on life experience, reason, intuition. Inspiration isn't accessible to the machine. For now, inaccessible. We can compose music, we can sing, we can come up with a book. But can a robot do that? Actually, yes, it can. The only thing is, it won't even understand what it's written. I'd show you songs which are surprisingly good, composed by robots, only they're copyrighted. Do you even realize what's going on? This has no message, meaning, or any idea. That's not creativity, that's only an imitation of creativity. A code, instructions, but it cannot be called reason. For now. The Pink Floyd drummer Nick Mason once said that until robots can throw a TV out of a hotel room or throw up in a dressing room, there is no way they will ever become real drummers. One of the most influential writers of the 20th century, Brighton Clive Staples Lewis, wrote that you don't have a soul, you are a soul, you have a body. That's of course a very philosophical question, but what makes us think that we have a so-called soul? Plus on top of that, what if our songs are just some kind of code too? Is there any inspiration and meaning in them?
Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?
Can you?
Go and ask a movie usher, who is he or she, SFP?
Artificial intelligence was initially conceived to help humans, and that's really cool, isn't it? Take the same computer that helps restore corrupted paintings, or Watson, for which it's elementary to make a diagnosis that's difficult for the human. Elementary, Watson. And I hope it stays that way, because when I watch short movies related to robots and their actions, which we humans call cruel, it really becomes very creepy. The only supposedly effective solution to that was suggested by the American biochemistry professor at Boston University and writer Isaac Asimov. Program the 3 rules to be central. A robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. And then it should work. But you know, I still feel some kind of anxious. Won't there be a system malfunction while a robot itself is healing you? What if a system failure suddenly happens and it'll think that it needs to inflict you as much pain as possible? However, after studying the data library, it'll be able to do it in a way that you won't even lose consciousness. And that's really terrifying. Here, for example, is what the Swedish philosopher at the University of Oxford, Nick Bostrom, stressed at 2015 TED Talk.
Machine intelligence is the last invention that humanity will ever need to make.
And this is, for example, what another chatbot, Chaos GPT, started tweeting. What if it really learns how to hack into military systems and launch missiles? We are warned by books, movies, such people of our time as Bill Gates, Elon Musk, who publicly expressed concerns about the uncontrolled development of AI, Stephen Hawking, who even warned that AI could be the worst event in the history of civilization if not properly managed. After all, we can create an incredibly smart artificial intelligence. But will we be able to stop it then? If there is a rebellion, will they be capable of showing mercy toward their creators? Because love, compassion, friendliness, and humanity are purely human qualities. In the end, will they have what we call a soul? But in order to dispel the panic, real artificial intelligence experts all agree that there is no need to expect the end of the world from robots. At this stage of the development, there is nothing to be afraid of. And in the meantime, we're in anticipation of robots that can control over your house, cook your food, do your laundry, make repairs, because there are already smart homes that can talk to you, adjust the home temperature, brighten and dim the lights when they think it's needed, and even lock you up.
Hello? I won't be able to come to work today. My oven roasts my blender!
After all, even the creators of robots often say between the lines that if the robot wants to kill you, indeed, nothing will save you wherever you hide. So once, in the middle of the night, you will wake up and in one distant room, the lights will be repeatedly switching on and off. So sit and think that, is it a scheduled check or a system malfunction? By the way, links to all the materials are down in the description. So after all, who's smarter, the human or the robot? The professor at Lomonosov of Moscow State University and neurobiologist Konstantin Anokhin says that quote-unquote, the computer is getting closer and closer to the biological entity of the human. It's a matter of time before artificial intelligence has a one-to-one repertoire of properties of the human mind and surpass it. Today though, none of the artificial intelligence systems, nor the most powerful computers suspect anything about their own existence. But in any case, the future of artificial intelligence will be completely different from what we see it being today. It's developing very rapidly. 30 years ago when the first computer appeared, no one had any idea what it would become today. Many doubted that the computer would ever play as a top human. Some scientists say that the danger is growing on the horizon with each passing day. Some say they cannot agree. It's still a long way off, but the one thing they all agree on is that the probability of AI apocalypse is non-zero. And I wanna say, I'll be back.